I read this book by Deborah Fletcher called Unorthodox. And while I was reading the book, I realized something that I have noticed in some of my friends. I didn't know that it was a common reaction to religious oppression. And what I noticed in my friends, or in some of my friends, is that they are constantly attacked because they don't want to necessarily believe exactly how their mom or their grandparents believed. People actually feel guilty for not following these rules because they don't understand which way to go. They don't understand if they are allowed to do this other thing that's not necessarily, the Bible doesn't necessarily not to do it. And they don't know if they should not listen to them because honestly the world is the way they are because of the way that they're not doing things. Obviously, of course. And they get this huge amount of guilt over themselves. And until they fight against that guilt, which is really it becomes a natural thing to fight against the guilt that is in you. Until they fight against that guilt, they will feel a huge amount of pressure on their shoulders, which should never be on their shoulders in the first place. I have not found one person that I have known personally who have gone through the same types of things as this Deborah Fletcher in the Unorthodox, who never go back to the way things used to be. I am convinced that Deborah Fletcher will never be a Orthodox Hasidic Jew. There's no doubt in my mind that she'll never go back to it. It's an impossibility that she will ever do that again. I have friends who have their mom and their grandparents were so oppressive and so extreme in interviews that they will never go back to that view. In fact, they don't even go to church anymore. They don't like the idea of someone pushing their view on them. And that comes from them finally getting rid of their guilt and saying, I'm not going to do that anymore. When you finally find out what the difference is between religious oppression and truth is, the whole weight of the world is taken off of your shoulders. You realize that not only do these rules not exist, that they don't even apply to this life, that they don't even matter, but that God is fervently against them. He attacks them. Even in all the way through the Gospels, Jesus Christ was constantly attacking the religious oppression of his time that was brought on by the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Jesus said that my yoke is light, and he was talking when he said that when he was talking to the Pharisees. They would impose all these rules on people, and rules that they couldn't even themselves follow. And when Jesus said my yoke is light, he was simply telling people that you follow me without rules. I do not have all these wash your hands rules. You don't have to wash your hands before you eat. You don't have to wear certain clothes or certain lack of clothes or whatever. That's the whole point of it. The religious oppression that, especially in Christianity today, is brought on by human beings who think they know a better way for people to be holy. And I'm sorry, but God is the only one that can make people holy.